my name's Laura and this is episode 2 of me setting up my very first ever marine tank. Last time, you may remember if you've watched it already, I set up the beginnings of the tank. I did the aquascaping, I did the kind of mechanical setup of the filter and the skimmer and things like that. And I filled it up elegantly, gently, as you saw. Definitely didn't move any of the rocks around when I did that. And where we ended was a bit of a cloudy situation. You couldn't really see how things had ended up. That was day 1. Would you believe it's actually now day 27? Just a reminder as well that if you want to rewatch the last video, you can check that out. And you can also subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss out on any more of these, because the next ones are going to be really exciting. So as you can see now, the water has cleared up beautifully. It's looking much better. And you might be able to spot something else as well. There is the brown spots over here on the tank window. There's brown on some of the rocks here, as well as a few air bubbles. There's even brown in the sand. That is actually a really good thing. That's algae. And that is the first sign that this tank is getting ready for life. I mean, this is already life, you know. These are the first signs that this tank is actually healthy enough to have living creatures in it. So I'm very, very excited about this. I've only had these for about 3, maybe 4 days is when I started noticing it. And ever since then, there's been an absolute growth, like absolute abundance of growth. So I'm very excited about that. So the reason that algae is so good for tanks, 1, it can provide a food source for some of the other organisms that live in there. And 2, it also helps to regulate the tank's nutrients as well. So some of them might get too high, which can be bad for the tank. They will actually absorb some of them too. So it's just a really good regulator of tanks. These algae that you can see in this tank now, these are known as diatoms, and they are the first stage of the algae cycle as it shifts through the cycle. So yeah, very, very happy, very excited to see it. I think there's even a little bit growing on Terry, so potentially he might be getting like a bit of a hairdo one of these days. Now I have had a few problems when setting up the tank. The first problem I found with this was that the skimmer was really, really loud. And I couldn't figure out how to solve this initially, so I just switched it off. I kind of figured that I might not need a skimmer initially anyway, and actually there were some really nice comments on the last video, and someone did say it's probably too early for a skimmer. So actually, by luck and by chance, I'd already switched that off. I did switch it back on about a week or so ago, so it's back on now. I gave it a good clean out again. So I think what actually happened was the water level was getting too low for the skimmer, and that's why it was making so much noise. That's actually kind of useful now for me, because as soon as I hear the skimmer going crazy, I'm like, oh, okay, and it's time for a top up of the water. The other thing I have is I've got this little cap up here, which goes on the outlet pipe, like the air pipe of this. I think that's what it's called. And that's really made it a lot quieter too. Another problem that I've encountered since setting up the tank initially is the filter pipe, that when it enters the tank here, this kept falling out and falling backwards, and then the whole thing there would end up tilting, and the pipe would either fall against the glass or the tank or even this heater here. And that was again causing noise, and there was water spluttering, and it wasn't doing the job properly. So I got into contact with the guys at Ocean Genesis, and Matt sorted me out with this connection here, which you can just about see, and this has completely solved the issue. It's stopped it from coming out. It's also made it a lot calmer in the way that it filters. And yeah, it's just quieter, nicer, looks better, happy days. So that's one that's solved. Now, I'm sure plenty of you watching have already noticed that something here is definitely not right, and that's the wave machine at the back there. Now, no matter how hard I try, I cannot get this to stay on the glass. I will try again, but it just keeps falling off after not that long. So that one's a bit of a work in progress. If anyone has any tips for keeping that sort of suction actually suctioned on, please comment and let me know, because I am at a loss slightly, but I will keep trying. As many of you know who watched the last video, when I first started this, I didn't have enough plug sockets. Thankfully, Poundland has come to my aid, and I have now got extra plug sockets. So everything is now much more neatly secured around the back, and yeah, I do actually have enough plugs for everything. I think there's even one spare, so luxury. So one of the reasons it actually took me, I think, a little bit of extra time for this algae to grow is because I didn't realise that I needed to have the light on. I know that sounds super simple maybe, but I thought, well, there's no fish in it, there's nothing in there, I just need to let it cycle with the water. I had no idea that I actually needed to like put the light on for life to grow. So again, thankfully a friend of mine tipped me off on that point. And now the light is on a timer, so every day it's on for 9 hours. I think it starts about 1 o'clock, and then by the time I come home it's on, and then it will turn off pretty much just before I go to sleep. So yeah, it's kind of a nice trigger for me to go, okay, tank's gone off, time to think about going to bed. But yeah, I really love having it in the room. It's like a lamp I didn't know I needed. Good ambiance. So it's test time. First water test for the tank. So these are the tests I'm going to be using. It's the Salifert test. We've got the ammonia test. Got the nitrates as well. So NO2, NO3, and these are from Reef Store in Cardiff. So yeah, great to have those. Thanks for sending them down so promptly. And I'm going to start with ammonia. So this is the first time I've done these, so there'll be a fair bit of instruction reading. I'll probably cut those bits out and just show you it as I do it. Add with 2 ml syringe, 2 ml water in the test vial. So looking at this, obviously it's got a bit of cloud to it. I'm going to say it's going to be less than 0.15. So I'm just going to write that down. So, ooh, yeah, that is very dark. I'm actually going to go for the darkest one here. I've no idea if this will show. So, yeah, I'm going to go with 100, which this one I have to divide by 10. So we got some results just there. Cool. Tests done. Now to water change. So I'm here with my big orange bucket. I'm gonna fill about half of this with the water from the tank, and then I'm gonna add in salt water. So what I've been learning about is that when I'm doing a water change, I use the salt water, and then when I top it up because it's getting a bit low, that's when I just use something called RO water, which is just sort of regular water. So the reason for this is that as the water just naturally evaporates through heat, that means there's slightly less water and a higher concentration of salt. So that's why topping up with salt water would just mean there was too much salt for the tank. We don't need too much salt. That's bad for what's in it. So yeah, top up with RO water and do water changes with salt water. So I'm going to do the water change now, praying I don't make too much of a mess. Enjoy the chaos. And there we go, that's my first water change. Didn't go too bad. Didn't flood the whole flat, so success. Really quickly, I'm just going to do a quick clean as well. I'm only going to do a bit of the sand. I'm actually going to leave most of the stuff on the glass and the algae on the rock as well, that's fine. That's because I just kind of want to make sure these nitrate levels stay strong, just to get it ready. So I'm basically just gonna give it a bit of a go with this, and then yeah, then I'll have to give it a little bit of food. So I need more practice at this, clearly, because once again, I have a cloudy tank. I really don't want to end every single video I do with a cloudy tank. It's a couple of days later and the tank has cleared up. So it was really just the sediment that was disturbed from cleaning, which is normal, hooray. But yeah, you can now see a bit more clearly all this algae here. Now there's one more thing I want to do, and that is to feed the algae and feed the whole ecosystem that I'm building. For this, I have got one of the Ocean Genesis products, which is phytoplankton. So phytoplankton is this amazing thing that feeds corals and feeds other kind of animals in a marine ecosystem. So it contains essential proteins, fatty acids, and things for elevated coral growth. So it's a fantastic thing to have, and I think this is really the Ocean Genesis secret weapon into keeping really healthy tanks, especially for coral. So what I've got is my handy little measuring jug, and I'm just going to pour in probably about, I'm going to go 25 millilitres, because I'm starting off. This will be a good amount to get things kick-started. I have been dosing this tank for a few days now, and once I started dosing, that's when I really saw the algae starting to grow, which shows that it really does work in creating the food needed for a really healthy marine tank environment. I'm just going to make myself a little gap, and then I'm just going to pour in my plankton. If you're interested in buying your own phytoplankton, head to the Ocean Genesis website. That will be linked in the description and somewhere on your screen. To get your own, you can also set up a subscription so that once this runs out, it will automatically get sent to you as well. Really handy. So that's everything for this episode. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you get other videos in the series, especially for the next one, because that is when I'm pretty sure this tank is going to be ready to put living creatures in. Very excited for that. That's the most exciting bit. So yeah, subscribe, like the video. If you've got any questions or thoughts, or if you're making your own tank, or you're doing your own tank and you're new, pop a comment below and let us know how you're getting on with it. And yeah, hope to see you at the next one.